Antonio Zaccheo joins us. First, some supporters to thank, and thank you for listening. This episode is supported by CCW Digital, leaders responsible for operations, information technology, contact centers, customer care, service, and support are invited to register for a free CCW Digital membership. Membership includes networking with 100,000 plus qualified industry professionals, quarterly executive research reports, product matchmaking, and more. Go to ccwdigital.com to join the community. This episode is also supported by the CCW Conference and Expo. The event will empower you to test, learn, and try the next big thing in customer experience optimization. Are you interested in mining data across touch points for personalized and predictive data? Are you trying to integrate your systems to get a more complete view of the customer? Are you figuring out what innovations to invest in? Chatbots, virtual assistants, AI, VR, biometrics, to name a few? Go to callcenterweek.com to register. Recorded at CX Exchange for Retail, Antonio Zaccheo joins us and discusses his early days in Naples and his foray into the military as a young man. In the military, his leaders taught him to be a better person. Each day he had to exercise, go to class, participate in sports, study, and then go to dinner, in that order. If you missed something, you missed it. So he learned accountability. He studied economics at a top school in Italy, where he learned he wasn't a visionary, but an operator, which led him to investment banking. He eventually brought his investment banking mind to retail. At Luxottica, his CEO told Antonio to go to the U.S. to fix issues with the business unit. He utilized his experience dealing with high-caliber leaders in finance in dealing with his retail compatriots, something that he continues today. Welcome to CCW Digital on B2B IQ. I'm your host, Seth Adler. Download episodes on ccwdigital.com or through our app in iTunes, within the iTunes podcast app, in Google Play, or wherever you currently get your podcasts. Antonio Zaccheo.
So most of the time you grow up on the street,
Sure.
and you really need to force yourself to do something different, something better, and become stronger.
Yeah.
So when you move in big cities, Milan is a big city, so it's a kind of million people living in Milan. Everything is more perfect. People run fast.
Sure.
They run fast for what? Sometimes so the perception they have from the south is they always run, but they run for what? Life is short, and you need to be, you have to enjoy the life. So that's a different perception of how people coming from the south perceive a big city like Milan.
So that's how Naples perceives Milan. Now, how does Milan perceive Naples? That's the question.
That's
right?
the big question. So we have dialects,
Yeah.
and you barely can understand sometimes when a Southern Italian speaks his dialect. And the same applies when a Milanese speaks his dialect.
Uh-huh.
So the Milanese consider the Southern people a bit lazy.
Uh-huh.
They don't want to work.
Yeah.
And they are just complaining all the times. But the smart people that don't live anymore in the South, and that's the problem that we have, because smart people moves and goes where they can find better opportunities. Are smart. And sometimes are smarter than people that were born in the city.
I'm sure, of course. And you're one of these people. You went all over the place. We'll get to that. But you first went to the military, right, after school?
Yes, and that's why I left my city.
Yeah.
So I was 15 years old when I moved to Milan, and I attended a military school. So nothing to do with my parents. I love my parents. I love my mama. I love my papa. But I want to have my independence, and I want to be trained to be a stronger person. So I moved when I was 15 years old. I grew up in a decent family. Was not rich, not poor, but decent. And what I wanted was just a different life. So in a different city and independence.
Do you remember what it was that made you realize that that's what you wanted? Was it seeing something on television, seeing a movie, a visit to Milan? What was it that you said, you know what I need? A ton of structure and in a very different way.
Yeah. Actually, it was the people I was dealing with. So my friends, people that really, I had very good friends, but they were like on average. I wanted to be above the average. And to be above the average, I wanted to do something different. So you need to go through quizzes, interviews to get access to this school. And I wanted something different. So that's why I moved to that school.
How long were you in that school?
For 3 years.
Okay.
My college.
And So they taught you. You were a student. They also physically made you better, right?
They did, yes.
But mindset-wise, how did I would imagine it was a dramatic shift. But what keys do you think changed in you mindset-wise from being at that academy and for those 3 years? We're here, by the way, at CX Exchange for Retail, and it's right around lunchtime.
Yeah, exactly.
You can hear in the background.
I think the tough education and things that the way people were holding you accountable in being a better person.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to study. You had limited time to execute things.
Uh-huh.
So wake up in the morning at 6:30. You had to be ready in 2 minutes to go out and exercise. After that, you had 10 minutes to get ready and go to school.
Uh-huh.
And after that, you had all your classes, all your sports, and then you only had 2 hours and 45 minutes to study. So no matter what, in 2 hours and 45 minutes, you had to be done. Otherwise, you had no more time to do that.
Uh-huh.
So
What happened after studying?
you go to dinner, you have an hour of time before to go to bed, but most of the time was spent to exercise, was spent to make sure that you were kind of clean and all your closet were in order, was in order. So was tough to keep studying after dinner.
Yeah, very regimented, very on time. This time that.
Yeah.
As far as how we can evaluate you, you speak of accountability with the grades. We know about the studying, right? That's easy. What about the physical fitness? You say keeping the closet straight, all of this. How was that judged? How was that? How were you made accountable for that?
Oh, you had guidance.
Yeah.
It was like the things that you had, the planogram that you have in a store.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
So
it's all laid out for
exactly. It was laid out for you. So you cannot make mistakes. You just need to follow the rules. That's all about. Follow the rules and don't complain.
So that was 3 years, and then did you go to university after that?
Yeah, I went to Bocconi in
Where's
Milan.
that?
It's in
Okay.
Milan. Yeah, it's I studied economics.
Mm-hmm. Is that? Can you give us a school in the U.S. that is similar to that one? In other words, when we say London School of Economics, when we say Oxford, we know this is the top.
Yeah,
So
Bocconi is the same.
Okay.
So yeah, Oxford, or you can say even in New York,
Columbia.
the Columbia
Okay.
University. So
Good.
it's the biggest one in Europe and in Italy for sure.
Right. Economics.
Economics.
What attracted you to economics? Why do you care?
I watched the movie recently. It was The Accountant, and the guy answered the question. Statistically, you can find quicker a job that is more rewarded in the life.
I got you.
It was the fastest. Yeah. So if you read the statistics, when you get, you graduate in economy, is easier to find a job, and but that's kind of the joke. So kidding apart, I think I like mathematician, and I like the enterprise, the companies, and how you can grow, and all the things about working for an enterprise.
Yeah.
So I was attracted by that, and I wanted to study, the way to be a better to be a leader.
Yeah. You were attracted to systems and structure.
Yes.
So anything that had structure, you see corporation. You're
Exactly.
Like, I want that.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not a visionary. I wish I could become a visionary to be a great CEO in the future.
Yeah.
But I'm an executor, so that's why I am a VP of store operations.
That's why I was
today.
going to say it sounds like you're going to be a great COO.
Exactly.
You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yes. Probably. Yes.
This is what we want.
Yeah.
All right. So
Get things done.
so coming out of school, I'm sure you did well, right? You wouldn't have it any other way. What was the initial employment? Where were you able to find a job right off the bat?
Yeah. I did kind of university fair. A couple of investment banking were presenting themselves. And I got in touch with some of them that was, they need an internship guy for the summer. So I studied in the investment banking with Morgan Stanley.
Yeah.
Before I get my graduation.
Yeah.
And after that, I moved to Lazard, so investment banking for 3 years.
Sure.
And that was my first employer.
See, now, I feel like with you having your, mathematician background, right, Morgan Stanley's Lazard, this sounds like it's perfect. And I know that eventually we get to Sunglass Hut, which that doesn't add up. But at the time, right, Morgan Stanley Lazard,
sounds like it would make sense to you. Ultimate structure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Extremely hierarchical.
Yes.
So I would imagine you enjoyed the experience.
I did. Was very tough. So I don't know if you're aware about the kind of life that you have when you work for investment banking.
It's only that.
It's only that.
Yes.
You don't have a private life.
No.
Weekends are hard to find.
That's right.
Some spare time during the weekends. So it was hard. And after that, I spent 7 years in the private equity. So it was even tougher. So you own a company, but you see the company from like the space. So you deal with CEO and CFO of the company. You are the main shareholders. They look at you as the decision maker. But you don't deal with the day-by-day delivery of a plan of a strategy. So you share with them the strategy, but they execute the strategy.
I see.
So
somewhat frustrating, it sounds like.
Exactly.
You're doing all the good work.
Yes.
You're giving it away, and you don't get to actually get the payoff. It sounds like.
Yeah. You get the pay. Actually, you get the payoff if the people that are supportive and executing the strategy execute and deliver the great success of the company.
Sure.
So you get the payoff for that. But who really does the job is really the people in the company.
You don't get the payoff as the person doing the
As the
job.
person
is
doing
what
the
I was
job.
saying.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
of course,
that's
as a
true.
banker,
Yes.
we get the payoff. This is
Yes.
how it's all set up.
Yeah.
So was that still with Lazard, or was that a different company?
No, it was with Permira. So it's a private equity firm. It's pan-European. And my major exposure was with the Valentino Fashion Group.
Okay.
So I spent 7 years with the journey before we sold to the Qatar family. And now when we sold the company was...
this is Rudolph Valentino, right? Or a different Valentino?
The Valentino Garavani, the brand. The fashion brand. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. And we sold the company was making 350 million, and now it's making $1 billion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or revenues.
Okay.
So that's the best thing that can happen to a private equity guy, selling the company and see the success going forward.
That's the exit, we like to say.
Exactly.
Right?
That's
so
the
you
exit.
were, what position were you when that happened?
I was actually a deal doer. That's the way we call people, and I was part of the portfolio company person. So it was me and 2 other people in charge of dealing with CEO and CFO of this company.
And did you then, that was the end of that, or did they bring you in, or that was that?
They didn't. So we sold the company to the Qatar family.
Yeah.
And then, Italy in that time was a tough market. So we were
What
not making...
year was this?
It was 2014. So we sold the company in 2012. I stayed with the private equity for 2 more years, but we were not really seeing any investment.
Right.
So what I decided to do is, okay, now it's time for me to roll my sleeves and do the job. So
Let's actually do this, right?
Let's actually do this. So I got the chance to being hired by Luxottica after that.
Yeah.
And the CEO at the time was Andrea Guerra. He said, I have a kind of a headache with a US company. I need someone going there and help me to fix the issues. That's the way it works. When you are owned by Italians or you are owned by Americans, they see the Americans or the Italian as the problem solver. So it depends on the nationality. You go there and fix the issues. Yes.
If it's going there, if it's coming here, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Go and fix it, because I know how to talk to you. You speak my language quite literally.
Exactly.
So go over there and then translate back what the hell's going on.
Yeah, and yes, exactly. And that's not only the language. I think it's also the leadership style. Sometimes it's you think alike.
So what were you taking into Luxottica from leaving banking? You know, what kind of lessons or what mindset, what thinking did you take over?
Yeah.
You know, because retail's different than banking, obviously.
For sure. I think there is a people component that is important. So you deal with high caliber leaders. So first of all, you learn how to talk to them, and you learn how to deal with them every day. So
These are the CEOs, CFOs. I know how to deal with those guys day in, day out.
Yes.
Right.
So they give you the chance to have to get a thick skin, and it's
if
not
the military didn't, they did.
They did it, yes. And sometimes the conversation with these guys, it's not always a pleasant conversation. So they're tough guys.
Yeah.
And for sure, you bring some experience on the structure, the way you work hard, and on average, you get things done faster than the others. So that's what I brought.
Because you have to.
Because you have to.
Yeah. We got a meeting with the CEO and the CFO the next day, It's the job
Yeah,
gets
you don't
finished.
complain.
That's it.
Yes, that's it.
Oh, the deadline is too tough. No, it's
Yeah,
not.
It's not 40 hours job. Even if you are a full-time, it's a
That's it.
full-time means 7/24.
So kind of taking that and putting it into retail, I would imagine retail might have been, obviously you've got to figure out the kind of nuances and the language and the jargon of retail, but
Yeah.
understanding that high-paced and high kind of stakes atmosphere was retail easier.
I will say that nothing is easy,
Okay.
especially when you are, at your first experience.
Sure.
So, being Italian, shipped to the U.S.
Yeah.
with people that has a high tenure and they believe they know everything.
Yeah.
You bring fresh mind.
Sure.
So, I had to learn how to do my job, and the first thing that I learned is how to deal with people.
So let's make sure. So what was the job title that they gave you?
So when I first came, I was senior director of finance.
Okay, so you're senior director of finance. You come in, and now folks, I would imagine, in finance that are older than you,
Yeah.
right, are
Yeah.
reporting to you,
Yeah.
and you're this Italian guy.
Yeah.
Right. So as far as dealing with people, how did you explain, listen, I know I look young. Here's what I know. You know what I mean? I know that you're older than me and you've been here for a long time. However, I might be able to help. How did
Yeah.
you kind of navigate those waters?
Yeah, that was not easy. That was the most difficult part of my job. So at the beginning, you can probably be perceived as a bit arrogant.
Sure.
Because you want to fix everything tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Let's do it and let's get it fixed. The challenge is that you cannot. So the company where I came from, as you were saying, tomorrow the meeting with the CEO. We need to execute and it's done and the meeting is tomorrow.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that in a corporation.
No.
So different timing, different expectations. People work hard, don't get me wrong, but you need to really manage these situations. So the way I dealt with that was showing them that I was not stupid.
Okay.
So you need to create your credibility and takes time. So you cannot create your credibility because you're coming from a different space, you don't know anything, and you start gaining credibility because you learn fast and you show them that you are smart and you're brilliant. And so that's the way you can deal with that.
How?
First of all, we say will or skills. You need to have both.
Yeah, sure.
So sometimes you can become a leader not because you know everything, but because you're able to manage situations, and you are able to be perceived as the one that has some style and some motivational, some energy. So great leaders are not the one that are super knowledgeable, but are the one that can drive.
That's it.
So I believe that I have learned a lot, and I was very lucky to have great leaders. That was my leaders and my boss, and I learned from them. So again, your questions. Sometimes it's a skill. It's not something that you can learn,
Right.
but you can improve. So if it's part of your DNA and you have the chance and you're lucky to have great leaders with you, you need to get the best from them to apply to yourself and be adjustable, flexible.
Right. So you have to be flexible. You're in these meetings and you have to find a way to kind of promote your own intelligence without being overbearing.
Exactly.
Right?
That's exactly that.
Here's a potential solution. Maybe you guys want to try it. Here's
Yeah.
another potential solution. Maybe we want to try it. Right?
Yeah, and I have done many mistakes because at
course.
the beginning it was not hard. So I was perceived as being arrogant in saying that's the solution. I tell you that's the way we need to go. But what I learned from my boss is you need to make sure that you get alignment and you get a consensus.
Right.
So it's their ideas, not your ideas.
That's
so
right.
that's the way a leader can be successful when everybody's aligned and you drive the conversation in a way that is their ideas, and you say, "Good job, guys."
Yeah.
And they don't know that was your input.
No, exactly. The inverse of that, the other side of that double-edged sword is I can't tell you how many times things haven't gone well when I've been right.
Yeah, I hate to say that. I hate to say that.
No,
but
you didn't say that. I said that.
You
That's
say
why
that,
I
yeah.
said it. You know what I'm saying? All right, so you have that, and then you have that position, and obviously you get success, and the folks that initially kind of didn't necessarily want to kind of go with you, went with you simply because you proved yourself.
Yeah.
What was the next position? Because that was finance.
Finance. Then I had, for 2 years, I ran for Nescrafters the customer experience. So the company was growing, but was not growing in the right direction. So we wanted to go back and gain customers back, create more loyalties. So I covered for 2 years the senior director position as customer experience. And then
for Sunglass Hut or
for Nescrafters. That is another Luxottica retail brand in the United States.
Yeah, sure.
After that, I also was lucky to be exposed to the Miami market.
Yes.
Miami, Sarasota, Fort Myers was a nice kind of beach areas here in Florida.
Yeah.
For 6 months, I ran a region to really be closer to the customers, because the closest you are to the customer, the better you know how to deal with the job that you do.
Of course.
And then a position open in Sunglass Hut as a VP of store operations, and since June last year, so almost a year, I am the VP of store operations in Sunglass Hut.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll get to that. Let's talk about LensCrafters.
Sure.
Let's talk about CX at LensCrafters, which now is a couple years ago, right?
Sure, yeah.
So what did you come into? What did you realize? What did you change? And how is it now?
Yeah. The main thing was, first of all, getting alignment with the leadership. So the buy-in of every single leader in the organization to make sure that the customer experience is the DNA of the company. So everybody in the organization, starting from the top, should consider the customer experience a priority. Making goal, delivering sales, it's important, but as equally important as making the customer day.
Supply chain isn't supply chain, it's customer experience.
Yes.
Finance isn't finance, it's customer experience.
Exactly. So every single person should consider themselves involved in the customer experience. Every person in the company touched the customer.
How did you change things? In other words, it was this way, and now it was this better way.
Yeah.
A specific example, if you can.
The specific example is to introduce a new way to conduct a survey to the customer, how creating the pain points. So really creating, what we struggle, what are our challenges. So create 4 pain points and having leadership around the table to close the loop around these pain points. So it was the strategic closed loop situation with the steering committee ad hoc with a key functional leader around the table and create an action plan and holding people accountable and say, okay, if we agree that this is the pain point, delivery services takes too long, how we're going to deal with that. So everybody commits to do a plan to make sure that they can deliver faster.
There we go.
That's an example.
Around the table, everybody takes a piece.
Yes.
What am I going to do? I volunteer. I'm absolutely going to do this, and this will change by this date.
Or you get a bit of push.
Oh, sure. Or we get a little help for you,
A little help for you, yes.
So how long did that kind of change in thinking, as you first described it, and then change in process take?
You are shifting a culture, so it takes a while. And
if I'm listening to you, how long should I give myself to, first I got to shift the thinking, then I shift the process from from that day one to, okay, now we're kind of pleased with the process. Is that 2 years?
I will say that you can shift the culture and the focus quicker, probably in 3 months. But you need to have everybody buy in. The process takes a bit longer, especially if you deal with supply chain and these kind of things takes probably 6 months or more. So first of all, you need to agree on a plan. You need to make the analysis.
Sure.
So at least you need to give a year. But you can see the effect a bit earlier because there are things that are tangible that you can change with focus and different attitude that doesn't require a long time to be executed.
People start smiling a little bit more.
That's a great example of things that you can start tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean internally and externally.
For sure.
to the customer and to, hey, why not ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And then just quickly on Miami, because we don't need to hear about you in Miami. Do you know what I'm saying?
No,
but
I know. Yes, that stay with us.
In terms of managing the region, though, not necessarily this region, but managing a geography, what did you take away?
Again, was a great school to better deal with people.
Yeah. Always. Each time.
Each time is different.
Yeah.
You deal with different people that are motivated by different things. and sometimes seems to be stupid things,
Yeah.
but for them it's important. So the best thing that can happen is when you leave. The best things that happened to me that when I left the company, the message of gratitude and the connection that I was able to maintain because I was perceived as a leader and as a person that was helping them was fantastic. So
That proved it out almost, is what
Yes.
you're saying.
yes,
Work, 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 work. Now I'm leaving. Oh, thank you. I really actually appreciated what you did.
yes, exactly. That's
they don't have
probably
to tell you.
extreme.
But they don't have to tell you at that point. Is your
No, they don't have to.
Right.
And the fact that I still get message of we miss you,
Yeah.
it's the best thing that can happen to a person that is leading a company.
So here he goes from Miami to Ohio, not Miami of Ohio, which is a different thing.
Exactly.
Now you're going to be VP store operations,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sunglass Hut.
Yeah.
What does that include? If we think customer experience includes everything, what does store operations include, at least in a job title for you?
Yeah. So the chance that I had to lead the region gave me the possibility to really deal with the operations of the stores.
Uh-huh.
So even if it was for optical, the operation of the brand like Luxottica is the same.
Yeah.
So when I came back, I came back kind of with more knowledge to really simplify the life of the associate. What we realized that we are getting smarter. We are getting a lot of data.
The shopper is.
The shoppers, everything,
Everybody's.
Yeah. So we have access to tons of data, and sometimes we overcomplicate things.
Sure.
So I keep telling people that we sell glasses. We don't save lives. So it's very simple. You need to make sure that you make the customer day, and you sell a pair of glasses from the shelf.
That's it.
Easy.
That's
so
it.
How we can help you to make this job easier? That's my biggest challenge.
We sell glasses, we don't save lives. This
Yes.
takes a lot of pressure off, I guess.
Yes,
right?
takes a lot of pressure. Yeah, you still do not have to make mistake, but can you
Sure.
imagine if a doctor makes a mistake?
Yeah, it's a different
So,
mistake.
It's a different mistake.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. I would rather make the mistake with the customer so that I
Exactly.
can fix that one. If I make the mistake as a doctor,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So as you go into the second half of 2017, 2018, now knowing what you know, you're higher in the organization. What are you bringing forward? Obviously, you've proved out it's all about the people. It's all
Yeah.
about understanding who they are,
Yeah.
meaning your team, and of course the customer, and managing to that. Beyond that, what are you working on as you go here?
The environment that retail today is different than when I started. So the traffic decline, it's changing the way we deal with the customers. We still have a lot of people coming in our stores. So the focus these days is don't complain about traffic. Do something to create the traffic in your store. Create the energy. But at the same time, take care of these people that are coming to your store. Spend more time with them if you have less people to take care,
Yeah.
and convert more.
Yeah.
So focus for the remaining part of the 2017, it's still convert as many customers as possible. Continue to simplify the activities and the task management that we ask the store to execute.
Yeah.
And the challenge is how you, when you have challenges sales performance, how you can deal with the labor that you assign to the store, because then we become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
Prophecy that if you don't allocate enough labor or enough hours, you don't serve the customer as they want.
Right.
So how we can make sure that we do the right things, it's the challenge that we have for this year, next year.
So doing the right things I want to touch on, but your key there is speak to the customers that are there. Don't
Yeah.
worry about the customers that aren't there, kind of thing.
Exactly.
So you and I both, I'm sure, watch Bloomberg and CNBC in the morning.
We do.
Or whatever. My point being, you can't go a day without a story about retail, stores closing, this, that, the other. You have this in your job title. So how do you see this? You were just speaking to it, but how do you see it as far as the way that shoppers shop in retail? What are you preparing for? What are you doing? And how do you see 2018, 2019, 2020?
As I said, I'm not a super visionary, and I don't have
Right.
the crystal ball.
You did. You made that clear to begin with.
Yeah, but if I look into my crystal ball
Yeah.
and with the experience that I have in the U.S.,
Yeah.
the challenge that I see it's twofold. There are big boxes they will struggle because they will buy product from other companies. Specialty retailers like Luxottica that has the beauty to produce and set the market trend has different challenge than these big boxes just selling stuff that is produced by others. So the beauty of people like us, and like us, you have Microsoft, you have Apple, you can mention a lot, can still set the trend. It can still make the experience great. So you need to differentiate yourself from the others. Amazon is our client as Luxottica.
Sure.
But if you want to pursue a strategy where you attract your customers, not because of the discount, as we are doing, but because of the experience that they have and the product that we offer, you need to make sure that you continue to be knowledgeable about the product that you sell.
Right.
You need to make sure that you make the customer day. Every day the customer is in your shop. So you smile, you start smiling a bit more.
That's it.
And you are not scared about the online business because it's still part of the organization of the company. But the product, at the end of the day, is still a product. So we need still to create that experience that the customer wants.
There you go. I got 3 final questions for you. I'll tell you what they are, and then I'll ask you them in order. What has most surprised you at work along the way? What has most surprised you in life? And then on the soundtrack of your life, 1 track, 1 song that's got to be on there. But first things first, what has most surprised you at work?
Surprised me like that even if you change leaders in the organization, these big organizations are still surviving. So, and you believe that at times you create super great organization in the headquarters, but at the end of the day, the people that are dealing with the customer are the one that are less paid and are the one that are making the job. So if I can make some changes, I will spend more money and time with the people that are touching our customer, and we are giving our brands in the hands of these people dealing every day with the customers, and we probably sometimes we overpay the leaders that has the vision. So that's what surprised me these days.
Focus on the tip of the spear.
Yes. Yes.
What's most surprised you in life?
My wife. My wife, it's not a wife, it's a saint. So I have 3 kids, and I was able to train also for an Ironman in my life.
Oh, look at you.
Yes, and she was so patient, and she was my cheerleader. So I made the movie on my pictures and on my race, and I used the song, I found a cheerleader, because actually she was there cheering me despite all the suffer, all the time that he has to spend without me. So she surprised me in my life.
There you go. She's going to be happy to hear that, right?
Yes, she will.
On the soundtrack of your life, 1 track, 1 song that's got to be on there.
I actually don't remember the title of this song, but there is an Ironman video that is sponsoring the Ironman, and you can find on YouTube, and that's the track of my.
So the song is in there.
Yeah, the song is in there.
So I'll find that, and then in about 10 seconds, I'll tell everyone what it was.
Thank you.
How about that?
That's great.
What a good life, huh?
Thank you.
Say hello to your wife.
Hello, Barbara.
Right, and say everybody says thank you from the world.
Yes, you should. Thank you.
And there you have Antonio Zaccheo. Very interesting guy as far as his song, that Iron Man video. Anything is possible is the name of the song, which described growing up on the streets and going to the military and learning how to do finance and making his way into retail. So makes sense. Thanks to him for his time. Thanks to you for yours. Stay tuned.